Welcome to the BaseCamp. This is a place that changes every night, and tonight we have the joy to receive to host one of the best initiatives that we have in our department, in our initiative in the BaseCamp. When there was COVID, we thought, let's not complain about today, let's start thinking about the future, about tomorrow. That's where the idea of the Conference on the Future of Cinema was born, and we had the great luck to have with us on board from the beginning Kevin Billy, and this collaboration with the University of Svizzera Italiana. So I will hand immediately the microphone to Matthew Hibbert, that represents the University of Svizzera Italiana. Hello, Matthew.
On behalf of USI, and especially the Faculty of Communications, Culture and Society, which I am very proud to lead, let me thank the festival, let me thank Stefano, and let me thank my two teams which are here. One is running one of the Real Academy schools, so Eleonora Benecchi and her team, but of course also the man to my left, Kevin B. Lee, my august colleague in the faculty, in the institute, and his team, which I know are sitting around. Thank you so much for your efforts. Fantastic, Kevin. Thank you, Stefano. Have a wonderful time.
Thank you, Matthew. Please, Kevin.
I also want to thank the president of Locarno Film Festival, Maya Hoffman, who's in our presence. Thank you so much. Raphael Brunschwig, the CEO of Locarno Film Festival, Jonah Nazzaro, the artistic director, and the whole Locarno Film Festival team. It's just an incredible opportunity and honor to have a space in this amazing film festival to bring in the leading minds and the leading creators who are leading us into a new audiovisual reality. So this is a conference for 3 days that will explore the future of reality. It's part of a series of conferences that we started last year on the future of cinema. And so we open it as a space for new proposals, new provocations, new visions. And one collaborative pair who have taken up the call to contribute to this cause, the Black Cube, based in Milan, Carlo Rizzo and Giulio Yoko Gabarini had this proposition, hey, what if we invite an artist like Philippe Parreno and Verena Paravel to talk about the future of cinema, because here you have two people who have really pushed the boundaries of both what reality is in the artistic gallery space and also in the cinematic documentary space. And what if we could have a dialogue with the two of them? And so through many efforts, it is now happening. And so with that, I leave it to Carlo and Julia to introduce our special guests. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you for having us. And thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Thank you, Stefano, for having us, and to BaseCamp for offering such an incredible space. As Kevin said, we are relatively new, very hybrid reality in Milano, trying to reimagine what the cinema space is and opening a new cinema in Milan for that reason. And our editorial platform, the Black Cube, is looking at production and experience of cinema through the lens of technology. And it was with that we imagined the possibility of this conversation. So. Thank you so much, Verena and Philippe, for joining us. And what we're going to do is just give you a brief outline of how the conversation will run. We will have a little brief intro, of course, and then we'll screen two pieces from the artists, and then we'll open it for we'll have a discussion. And if there is time, we'll try to open it to the floor as well. So with that, I will leave it to Julia to introduce the artists, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlo. Thank you again to everyone for hosting us. We're super happy to be in the presence of such wonderful artists who really open new ways of seeing and sensing the world. And we would love to share with you a little intro. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read it, so I'm sure I make it right. So let's start this way. Philippe Parreno lives and works in Paris, and his practice invites us to question the boundaries between reality and fiction, memory and time. And earlier this year, we had the chance to to see your beautiful solo show in Munich at Haus der Kunst, curated by Andrea Lissoni and Lydia Antoniou. And it included one of the works that Philippe is going to share with you today, El Almendral. And beyond his exhibition practice, Philippe continues to work with film. And this fall, he'll be in Japan as the artistic director of the Okayama Art Summit. So I think we should all go there and see it. That would be lovely. And Verena Paravel is an anthropologist and a filmmaker. And since 2008, she has been a researcher and educator at Harvard's Sensory Ethnography Lab. And her work, like Kevin said, really challenges the conventional documentary forms. And she traces new experiences of both human and non-human beings. So you will also be in Okayama showing your work after this summer. But right now, Verena is showing her latest show in Berlin at Silent Green called Breathing Matters with Lucian Casting-Taylor. Breathing. Sorry. And so the exhibition is on until the end of this month. So if you get the chance to see it, we really recommend it. And this is the intro. Thank you so much again. We're going to start with showing a little extract, merci, of your work.
Yeah.
If you want to tell us a little bit before we present it.
I'm going to show you an extract of a film called El Almendral, but I have to tell you a little bit of the context in which I made that project. It's not a film ex nihilo, it's a film of exhibition, because it really came from this invitation I received from Andrea Lissoni to produce an exhibition within the Haus der Kunst in Munich. And I was trained as a visual artist, but in the 90s I was a post-conceptual artist. So, which means that in many ways I try to understand the context and the situation in which a form occurs and is presented. And so, for me, the context in which that appears, it's a context of an exhibition. So everything in a way starts from a space and a moment. I don't know if you're familiar, there's a little line from Marcel Duchamp who says, a guest plus a host equal a ghost. And it meant by that if you say that a ghost is an object or a present, obviously it's a present and an object of the mind. But you need these two terms in order to put the third one. You need a guest and a host, which means you need a sort of a negotiation in order for the form to occur. And I was always fascinated by that and tried to deploy this methodology of work throughout time. So to go back to what you're going to see, it starts with Munich. So Munich Haus der Kunst was built by Hitler in the 30s, and it's a huge kind of like space made of marble. And the specificity of the space is that the space is totally blinded, which means that there's a fake glass ceiling, but above the ceiling you have a concrete wall. So literally the space is blind. You don't see anything and you don't hear anything from outside. And throughout all the exhibition I made, I always tried to open the boxes, the white box where you display objects, the black box when you show moving images, the night box when you go to dance, modernity is made of boxes. And through an exhibition, I tried to open up a little bit the barricade. So the blind space led me to this idea to say, what if I am producing a light to light up the exhibition, and what would be that light? And so somehow it's a digression, I'm really good at that. I ended up exposing, in a way, the Haus der Kunst to another space somewhere else. And I choose for that a space where I always wanted to go because I found it quite fascinating. It's a desert of Tabernas in Spain, next to Almeria, where people were cultivating. There was a lot of farms, but back in the early 19th century, people started to leave the country because it was too hot. It's the biggest desert in Europe, and then eventually in the 70s or 60s, the desert transformed into a set for feature films. So all the spaghetti western were shot there. So you see, so it was at the beginning a land which was transformed, as you will say, in situ, in order to they managed to transform the territory in order to grow things. And then over time, it became an image and a mediation. And now the space is still there, it's still growing. There are less and less films which are made. And so, and of course, the condition that we are now experiencing in Locarno is getting more and more critical. So I was interested to get these somehow not only pictures but also data from this space in order to bring the space in Haus der Kunst alive. So everything that happened in Haus der Kunst in a way is led by the data that I received from the desert. And so what I did is that I installed a couple of cameras in the field, and I run some cables and some sensors, meaning like a lot of microphones, of course, 2 or 3 weather stations, and all these kind of I call them datas, are coming together in the shape of a film, so in visu, in the Haus der Kunst. And the film is streamed live. So the show opened in December in Haus der Kunst. So you expose the desert in the winter, and when the show stopped, the film stopped. And then I had another exhibition in June in London where we plugged the system, and then you were exposed again to a now completely different landscape, the landscape of June. So the principle of it is that each time the film is shown, it's growing, right? Like a farm growing pictures. It's a farm that grows that film. So I install new cameras, new datas, and I extract these data in order to produce this ongoing film. So there's a film that maybe you heard about, which was made in '71 by Michael Snow, which was a bit of the, in a way, the reference, or not the reference, but I had that in mind when I started to put up together this project. It's called La Région Centrale. Michael Snow, I don't know who doesn't know him, is a conceptual artist from Canada who had this in '71. He made this quite brilliant film where he set up a camera system that he called camera dactyle, I think. Looks like a sort of weird creature, like a mechanic creature. At the end of the creature, you had a camera that was able to pan and move in all directions, 360 degrees, plus, I think, the Z, plus the zoom. And the cameras were shooting for 3 hours of film with nobody, so there was no human presence. It was a film without people. So I had this kind of like film which had a big influence on me. And this, in a way, has that same kind of a paradigm, in a way, the place is the desert, so you don't see anybody, but you hear stuff. And the way the film is, I will not say edited because there's no editing, but is led, is through the use of a couple of algorithms which were quite simple, where when you hear something, the camera goes to see what the system hears. And so you're chasing basically ghosts. I think in that version, you're going to, I'm not sure about that, but I think you're going to hear a voice.
Yeah. Shall we start it?
Yeah, we're going to hear a voice, which is a voice of, yeah. But you can talk about the voice later. We can show maybe 5 or 10 minutes. No?
Sure.
Hmm? The voice?
Non, non, non. Je voulais parler, pardon. Wir sind jetzt Freunde.
Ah, pardon, des images.
On my loneliest nights.
So that the voice that we hear is the voice of Susan Dobner, who's the famous German TV anchor. And at some point, now in the new version of the film, the voice is gone. But in Munich, that voice was coming in and out, saying because of a text, which is a fragment of thoughts that are in a way attributed to the landscape. So that TV anchor that's supposed to tell the truth by contract on national TV is speaking for the land. And the voice, the word that's chosen by the same algorithm. So it's always quite unpredictable what the voice will say. Yes.
I see a new place not far. Ich kann dorthin gehen. The air is still, but the ground beneath me shifts, pulls, as though something is beckoning me forward. I move, slow at first, hesitant. Yet, it says nothing. History is there, ja, aber sie spricht nicht. It holds its breath. I walk closer. The walls remain unyielding. It feels like a place that has waited for a long time, without moving, without changing. Und ich bin die Veränderung. Spüre ich den Raum vibrieren. I feel the space vibrating with it, like a song that is just out of reach, a melody that will never be heard.
The walls are wide open, but blank.
They are empty.
They are empty. They are like the sky when there are no stars. Weit und unendlich.
It's interesting what you were saying also about the different ways in which the editing happened. You said almost there is no editing, or there is a sort of algorithmic editing almost in a way. And obviously, one has to, if you haven't seen the exhibition, you have to imagine how this is also interacting with you as you enter the space, and it feels almost like a portal to that reality, as well as almost like a sort of durational performance, sort of being there and sort of constantly observing. And I was wondering if maybe Verena, you had also any thoughts that you wanted to share on this, and before we introduce also your piece, or if we wanted to continue on this.
No, maybe Verena can show maybe some of your camera tests. No,
and if I start talking about the
There'll
will
be no
last
time.
forever, because I've been blown away by the exhibition. I haven't seen. I mean, it's not because you're next to me that I'm saying that, but I was. It really gave me so many thoughts about. I mean, the way we are connected, but I mean, I think we should keep that for the conversation.
Sure.
Because there are many things I think that are done extremely differently. But at the end, I have the feeling that we are looking for the same thing. And then the way somehow you're giving, you know, such an autonomy to the creature that you are putting into space. And then, like, you're creating basically like autonomous organism who are taking over. And I think the way I'm trying to work more and more is also a way of being somewhere where it's very anti-mastery, where every kind of serendipity or every kind of accident is part of the, you know, what I'm trying to capture. So what I'm going to show you is not an excerpt of anything, and is not even a work. It's some camera test of a project I have, and is this too loud? I feel my voice I feel like I'm screaming in everybody's ear. No? Okay. It's just very weird to hear yourself. So yes, so I've been thinking for a long time about a way of feeling part of nature, and the more I look at film, treating about natural sciences, I felt that there was like increasingly a fetishization of like a more and more sophisticated way of capturing nature, and where at the end we were left in front of a spectacle, but that we never felt really part of nature, one species among millions of other species. And with the work that I'm preparing, and actually I'm going to shoot in Okayama in a few days, I decided that maybe the way of feeling part of nature And just one species, among other, is maybe to be more humble visually, but to learn how to listen to not only what we can hear, but also what we cannot. So I made a list of all the instruments that are available in science or other discipline that are made to record the sound of the living or the non-living. And I decided to make a film where the soundtrack will be only made with sound that are biologically impossible to hear. And the way maybe we can start, and I can just finish talking about the way I decided to shoot is with a hunting camera. And the hunting camera for me is a way of achieving something where it's a kind of radical leveling, where I don't want any organism, creature, plant, insect, human, soil. I don't want any of that to be dominant. And I guess there is something else about the hunting camera, which is a little bit paradoxical, I guess. But nonetheless, I'm trying because this is all trying at the end. I'm not looking for framing anything. I don't, and I think this is something where I guess we could talk about. But for me, I really love when there's no intentionality, or where the intentionality is like really not so obvious. And here with the non-framing, I'm really trying to look into the landscape and then to find, way of looking differently and hearing mostly. So what you're going to hear is actually, so this is, I was testing my hunting camera, but what you're going to hear is the sound. You're going to see this scientist that you're seeing here is a tremor biologist. And this guy and I, for just one afternoon, we were recording the sound of insects. And then at the beginning, you're going to hear the sound of one insect that you will see that is vibrating. And then for 2 or 3 minutes, you will see just images of leaves and other sound that comes from this scientific instrument that is here, that is a laser vibrometer. And so you're going to hear what we could record in one afternoon in a few meters square. And so basically the sound that you're going to hear is the sound that we are missing. So here you cannot see the insects, but because I could not shoot all of them. But basically, this is the communication. That's what's going on. You know, when you're sitting in a just like 1 meter square of grass, this is how they talk to each other.
Cool.
Merci.
Thank you for sharing.
Merci. Thank you for showing these beautiful pieces. It feels like we're all breathing again.
Do you have a title for that, no, project?
Yeah, but when it will be a film, it will be called Cosmophonia. Well, it's a working title. Yeah.
Well, you can take me to the cinema every time you have some camera work, because if this is camera work. Anyway, to open a discussion, I have the impression, and that of course is open to debate, that with both these films, the distance between us viewers and the reality you're making us experience is reduced to its bare minimum. And we would love to know your thoughts on presence and absence, and how you navigate that if you ever think about this distance or extreme presence in your work or in your process.
It's a question for both of us.
It is.
All the questions for both of you.
Yeah, no individual question.
It's a huge question. Do you want to start? Or you're thinking, thinking.
Yeah. I didn't really understand the question. So it's absence of.
Maybe we can break it down.
Yeah.
I guess the idea is
a lot of questions in one question.
Oh.
I guess the one question is just in both cases it seems that we're trying to almost eliminate the distance between the viewer and the experience that they're witnessing, and but we wonder if that's what you're trying to do.
I mean, for me, I'm not sure. I don't think like that. You know, of viewer distances. Whatever. I don't. It's of course. I mean, with the similarities in the film. That I mean, the extract that we saw. I guess we can talk about that. Which one thing which is funny is like this idea of synchronicity. We can talk about that later. I have some questions for you on that. But then, for me, the distance. The way I think you want to frame that, it's more. It was more sort of. You see, how do you do? There's a term called artificialization. It's like the process in which a land becoming a landscape. No, so you do it with two strategy. One is in situ, one is in visu. One you are transforming the land in order to do something from it or with it. And one is that you transform the land in order to please you or to respond to an image. But it's the history of landscape started, say, 6th century in China. Takes time to come to Europe, 16th century in China, 10th centuries later. And yet the process on which the transmutation occurs from land to landscape is still, and today I think more than ever, a good question, a great question. So is that with that scope in mind that I started to process, you know, that film, you know. But and yes, because it's a desert, there's nobody, right? Because it's a present.
Well, I guess that's actually an important question because you chosen such an important location, the Tabernas, that is, like you said, the largest desert in Europe, and it's really the edge of wilderness in some way, but also in itself is not necessarily a place with no one. There is obviously a culture of the desert. There is so much happening in there, and you making this sort of opening this portal. It's also creating an opportunity for the viewers to experience something that is only typically become real in their imaginaries.
Yeah, you're exposed to seasons since the film is shown at different time of the year, and in they say silent transformations. No, the land and the landscape change over time constantly. It's I don't like the term resilient, but it's like, you know, sometimes it's dry and super dry, and sometimes it becomes really green. Sometimes it's really sonic. Sometimes there's no sound, and the process in which the two are linked together, the film and the land, is that they're bound together now by contract. So I gave to the land and to the film the same human rights. So it's something that we did years ago with Pierre Huyghe when we did this little project called No Ghost, Just a Shell, where we gave to a little manga character a human right, so a copyright in that case. And for that Montreal project, the film belongs to the land, so it's like a two-headed Siamese twins, you know. And the land belongs to the film, and the film belongs to the land, so you cannot separate them, one from the other. And so together they produce one object, which is the object that I wanted to talk about and address. That's the nature of this creature.
And you also, Verena, going into the sort of this microscopic dimension, are also in some way trying to give access to something that typically is we have only imagined, but at the same time is trying to give a voice to those other species that are in need of an agency in some way, which is related to what Philippe was saying.
Yeah, I think this is the your question about the reducing the distance between the viewer and also the question of experience. I think there's several things. I think in my case, I'm like you. I don't think in that terms, but I do believe that that cinema should do something that is pre-linguistic, and that everything that can be resolved or explained through prose, should belong to the domain of the
Pre or post?
Exactly, or para, even Parreno, Paravel, paralingue. But also, I think it's also the same as you. It's also the way you distribute, or you redistribute, or you reorganize, or you revive the different relationship between beings, and by giving agency to all beings, inanimate or animate. You're reducing the distance, and also you're opening up ways of seeing, way of perceiving things, and you're opening up the possibility of imagining also a world where we're really sharing. So it's a question of perception. If we are giving the bacteria, the insect, I'm thinking of De Humani, this film I made inside the human body with Lucien Castan-Taylor. It's a way of rethinking our envelope, our skin, not as being just a limit of our being in the world, but like it's way more complicated, and the inside is related to the outside. So if we start to think that way, it really opens up the possibility through vision of imagining a world where we are completely, all of us, interconnected and interrelated. And without the possibility of seeing that, we are lacking the imagination to envision that, I think.
And interestingly, when you say seeing, you're meaning more than seeing, also hearing.
Hearing, absolutely.
And with this perception, and what I found interesting that was also common to your works is this use of multiple technologies to sense the environment. And a lot of it relies on sound. Your editing relies on sound. Your closeness to the other agents relates to sound. I wonder if maybe you want to expand a little bit on this as well.
But sorry.
No?
Either.
Yes, for these two extract we saw, yes, we are definitely linked to that sound quest. Yes, maybe the difference is that I'm not sure, because the film is just at the beginning for Verena. For me, it's already, it will change over time, but right now I'm using, I think we have 42 sensors altogether, from seismographic microphone to a contact mic to a aerobic microphone but also to all this data that I receive from the weather. So what we're doing, or what that creature at the end is doing, is like trying to correlate all those data. So we use a really simple mathematical operations, very simple, like it's called a Fourier transformation, where you can basically produce a wave from data and distribute in time and space, right? So those waves are correlated and produce these sounds which are transformed by each other. So it produces. But my first idea was really, anyway, I failed, but maybe I succeed later, was to see where at some point some kind of voice could be heard, you know. Yeah, so now it's placed over, but eventually it will come from the correlation of those 42 datas. Yeah.
But for me, you know, I don't know how you see it, but for me, it's not like some people could say that's an augmented reality because you're kind of like extending the possibility. But for me, it's actually very different from that, because in your work, the way I see it's just like you are. It's a companionship with the technology. Mm-hmm. It's just like it's as if you were creating the condition, you know, a condition for things to emerge, and then you give them their freedom to be, you know, your obsession with Simone Weil and décréation. That's that. This is what it is. It's just like you're kind of removing yourself from the gesture of creation, as if you are creating something, and then you let them be. And then you let them be autonomous, and then this is a relationship also, and you're as if you are giving them the autonomy, enough autonomy to exist. I don't know.
And also to change over time, because as you said, the film is always different, and as you go, and I'm sure that every recording also that you make, every observation that you make is somewhat reflective of the life cycle of what you're trying to record.
But the way I'm using technology for me is completely different, because I never use data the way you do, because you use data in order to transform something. It's just a series of metamorphoses, whereas I'm just like, most of the time, I use technology to subvert the technology in order for me to alterate reality in such a way that we will be able to see the same reality in such a different way that is unfamiliar to us. And then we can have this perspective or like create like another word of like sensible word that suddenly become possible to experience. Like exactly the way we did with the GoPro in Leviathan, the way we did with a Formula One camera to go, you know, inside the body, or here using. So it's like repurposing a technology in order to use it in like with new artistic and epistemologic goal. So it's just like you're using technology, you hijack kind of things, which is slightly different from the way you're doing your business with your technology.
Yeah, it's true. What? But it's true that this at the end we all face the same problem of synchronicity, you know, because.
You mean synchronicity between
image and sound?
Okay.
Which is interesting because that was sort of like a big debate, you know, back in the 60s. And in Grenoble, when I studied art, there was this company called Aton. And this guy, kind of genius called Jean Beauviala, who created that system called
Aton.
Aton, and the way to sync.
La paluche.
Yeah, to want to sync sound and picture together, no? The time code. And so at the time, we thought that was it, you know, we know how to synchronize sound and picture, and now we're going to, we know exactly what to do, but in fact, this kind of like now tend to be, again, a problem. And I think it's a new epistemological problem. It's a really big problem. How do we want to still be in sync? Do you still want to have pictures and sound being in sync? Or is that in between that moment when things are not in sync, that you have a place to dream or a place to, that distance that you mentioned exists for me within that space where things are off sync. And the extract that we saw from Verena is really hard. The only moment when you say we're in sync is that when she cut into a river. And the rest is like up to us to try to associate what you see with what you hear. And which I think is a new kind of interesting. I didn't think about it. I just think about it now, so I don't.
I think when you move from being one point of view to being a mediator of multiple points of view and using multiple instruments to sense an environment, then the problem of synchronicity multiplies in quite a radical way.
Yeah,
But
because it's synchronized to what? The thing, you know, to something that you know already, or you know, there's some kind of this notion that if you lose the synchronicity, then you are in the unknown. Little bit, because your mind trying to find sense, you know, or logic, which what the surrealists call the paranoiac logic, you know. So, and when you see that film of the extract, not the film, but the extract or camera test that you showed, you will immediately remember that kind of surrealistic kind of like approach of things, you know, where you are in between, you know, a zone where you constantly float. In a stochastic way between two worlds, you know, and the truth is in between.
Maybe that's the future of reality. Yes, that's
maybe. Maybe.
I'm curious when you said remove yourself from it, since your methods of capturing and positioning maybe microphones, how hard is it to not intervene when you have at least to decide where to record or where to put the sensors, if it's a question, of course?
For me, it's not a question. I don't believe in that thing where you're not intervening, and then that you have like a completely observational gaze, and then you're not touching anything. I think the camera is just part of the team, and it's just provoking thing is there to provoke, to alterate, and I think this is this is very, very old. I mean, for me, that's an old question that we used to have, and some people might still have this question, you know, like I'm not touching, you know, the reality. But the reality is just, I mean, I don't, first of all,
he's touching
who I am to talk about reality, this I don't even know. But, you know, it's just like we're inhabiting a world that is so different from you and me and Philippe and you, Carlo. You know, it's just like, and it's made of fantasy, of desire, of things that we don't even start to understand. I mean, we know nothing about nothing. So what kind of reality we're talking about? I mean, so yeah. Sorry, that's my.
I'm happy this is not a masterclass on reality because.
No, I would never dare talking about, and you made it really hard with this title, because not only talking about the future is complicated, but reality is like, and the future of reality is just like, whoa, that's very challenging.
Maybe it's just
thank you, Kevin.
The future, where we're the future of presence. Where are we going to be? But yeah, I guess we had one final question, which was about where do we, how do we go? Maybe you want to ask. We have only time for one more.
All right. Well, it was a big question, but these methods of like giving legal personhood to a desert, or making us almost go underground with the insects or with the spiders. How do you, if you think, these experiences that you're making visible might change our perception of and our understanding of reality in the future, almost like the stethoscope, no, changed the perception of reality when we could hear new sounds. If your methods, if you ever thought of this word, the future, it's a big word, where you didn't want to go.
I think that I kind of half, I mean, on my part, I think I kind of half answer already when I said, I think the two of us, and I don't want to say stop me if you disagree, but I think both of us, we are creating the condition to experience things and in a different way, and you are creating the condition to experience a place that is far away, but in a different space where you can hear and physically go through physically something that we've never done that before. I mean, we've never, unless I missed something, but so we are creating this kind of experience where we've never been, or it could be a question of time, of synchronicity, of space, or whatever, a way of perceiving things. And just by creating the condition, it gives room for the imagination to go that place and to transform our being in the world, in the sense that we are feeling related differently to other being, machine, technology. So that's a way of half answering your question. I don't know if Philippe has a...
I have an answer, but I think
Yes.
I can play it.
We have the other.
Ah oui.
That's the answer.
It's 91. It's my first thing that I did. You have to make sound louder.
Ouais. I think we should make an happening. We should just go around and say like no more.
No more reality.
No more reality.
It's so weird.
No sound. It's okay, we got the idea. No more reality.
I don't think there's any better way to end a conference, the first,
From the past, 91.
than to deny the existence of reality.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Philippe. Thank you so
merci.
much, Verena. Thank you for your time
Thank you.
and for the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Philippe, Verena, Carlo, and Julia. Despite what you just saw and heard, there will be more reality, future of reality, for 2 more days and this evening as well. But I want to acknowledge the reality of our minds that have been expanded from this talk, but now to acknowledge the realities of our bodies and our physical states. Thank you very much for your attention, and to reward your attention, we have arranged an aperitivo outside. Many thanks to the support of the Réseau Cinema, the Network Cinema, and there is free food for you to enjoy. But please come back at 7 p.m. for our AI game show, If AI is the Answer, What's the Question, with Hito Steiro, Radu Jude, and Antonio Someni, aka the AI Cinema Dream Team. Please come back, you don't want to miss it. Thank you so much.